Just realised something. This is genius. Couldn't have fit better. Look at that. It's the small things in life that count the most, and this definitely takes the cake. Good start to a Monday. Welcome to Saints TV Weekly, Sainters. Another week, another Saints TV Weekly. Let's get into it. Alright, so there's actually been a bit of news this week outside of the D's and Dogs making the grand final, which we will not talk about because that just makes me really jealous. But there is some news. First piece of news we've got: Saints to prioritise development coaching panel restructure. So this dropped 18 hours ago from Mitch Cleary. He's talking about the impact of COVID-19 and how it forced the club to prioritise development and restructure its assistant coaching panel ahead of next season. Pretty much what that means is that Ben McGlynn and Jake Batchelor have shared the duties for 2021, so they kind of had a bit on their plate to do. And the plan for the club is to have them kind of in a more refined position, so they're not juggling too many roles. And in that case, then hiring coaches to come in and take that responsibility in the development space, which I think is a good call. I don't know why every other club has handled this scenario better than us, and we've suddenly now kind of not blamed our season, but just kind of pointed a finger at the coaching structure, which we have full control over. So I don't know why this wasn't done earlier. I don't know why this is suddenly breaking news ahead of next season. But because we've let go of the line coaches in Aaron Hamill and Adam Scroblack, to name a couple there, they're reshuffling the positions and getting coaches in refined positions so they can really just focus on their one field and not have to focus on mids and development as well as this and that and X and Y. So I think it's a good call. I'm just a bit curious as to why it's happening now and it didn't happen sooner. Obviously, 2 years on September 9 that we lost Danny Frawley. And that was also, the day after his birthday. He was 58 on September 8th, and it was just nice to see the club talk about that a bit more. And Are You OK Day was on September 9 as well, so I thought it was really fitting, and we posted about it, and we just wanted to make sure that the message just continues to be pushed out there, because obviously it was pushed very hard for Spud's game earlier in the year against Melbourne, but it's a message that needs to come up more regularly and not just whenever we celebrate the life of Danny Frawley and his anniversary of his passing and those sort of events. We need to make sure that we do it regularly with our mates, with our family members, with people that we work with that we don't really talk to, that it's okay to just stop for a second and ask, hey, we're in lockdown still, we all haven't seen family and friends, how are you going? Are you okay? So I think I just don't want that to get lost in everything else that's going on. I thought it was really great that we could talk about it last week and celebrate Spud's life, as well as making awareness for mental health and for checking in on your mate and checking in on a family member that you haven't spoken to in a while. So, it just gives us an opportunity every year to reflect on Spud and what he stood for and how he brought the club together and how important he is to the club right now. And he'll always be important to the club. So it's always a touching time when you think about it, and we always think about his family and his daughters and his close friends that have worked in football for a long time. So I just wanted to put this into the video because it's not just about Spud's life, but it's about his legacy and what he's left behind, and I think it really, it's really exciting to see the club putting together the mental health centre and building that and seeing the progress of that. So, Spud's a legend, and we'll always miss him, but he'll always have a special place in every Sainter's heart. So, cheers to you, Spud. Now for some different type of news. NFL kicked off last night, and usually I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like talking about it. I don't they wear too much body armor, compared to AFL, they just smashing each other. But Aaron Sipos made his debut for the Philadelphia Eagles at 3 a.m. last night, Australia time, and they won. But not only that, he had a stellar game as the lead punter for Philadelphia. I believe they won against Atlanta by 32-6 or something like that. It was fairly comfortable. But he starred. The Americans are very impressed with his kicking. He got it into close to the end zone most times, and I think he had 4 or 5 punts in the game, and each one of them put them into an excellent attacking position. And yeah, they all absolutely loved him, and he played in front of a big crowd. His first game, but obviously, the start of hopefully a really exciting career in the NFL. And I loved Aaron Sipos when he played for the club. I thought he had a booming kick. I thought he could be a really good forward for us. But obviously he's found his passion. He's 28. He's worked his ass off from Auburn to now Philadelphia in America. And he's made it in the big time. So congrats to you, Aaron. And hopefully we get you on the show at some point and you can talk about your progress in the NFL. But we'll keep a close eye on it, obviously. And we know that you're gonna do wonders, in the NFL. You've already done it on your debut, so you're just gonna get better each and every week. So good on you, mate, and all the best for the rest of the NFL season. Feels weird, but it's coffee, so what can you do? Still delicious no matter how you drink it. Now for some delisting news, although it's still not being confirmed by the club, so I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if there's there's a lot of dependencies on whether we delist a certain player because we know we can get another player in, or that sort of stuff, or if we get JB re-signing, does that affect someone else being delisted financially? And there's a lot of connections I feel that we don't really know, so I'm not going to get into it because I don't know the details of it. But what I have heard is that Sam Alabakis, who's been on the list for about 3 years now, who was kind of an American that's been trying to get into the team, been learning his trade as a ruck at Sandy, and he's found it quite difficult. I've heard that he's been delisted, and along with that, I said it was a bit of a shock on Twitter, and a few people went off at me and thought, well, why is it a shock, Jake? And I guess when I think about it, Oscar Claverino being delisted is the other one circulating, and I'm only shocked because of where we're at with our list in terms of backmen. But he's only played about 4 games in the past 2 years, so I can kind of see why people think I'm saying it's a shock. I'm just more meaning that we've lost Frawley, Robertson, Carlisle, and we've all talked about bringing in another tall, and I thought, well, he's only 21, 22. Who cares if he's only played 4 games in 2 years? Maybe he can grow into it because most of that first season was under Alan Richardson, and he hasn't had much of a go in that time, and Brett Ratton gave him a bit of a go this year, and I thought he was okay. So that's why it was a bit of a shock to me. But the rumor is him and Alabakis are going to be delisted, along with Dunstan. I know that Kent and a few other blokes are still waiting on offers, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But that's kind of where the delistings are at, and I'm hoping that the club makes some sort of announcement this week. It'd be good to know. But I said it last time, we've got the best and fairest on Friday afternoon, so I don't know if they're going to be making that announcement before then, because obviously those players would be invited to the best and fairest. So imagine going to a best and fairest or already being told that you've been delisted. I feel like that's not great for camaraderie and not great for the culture of the club. I have a feeling that they're going to have the best and fairest, the Brownlow Sunday, and that in a week's time they'll announce the list changes, and then they can go from there. And by then it'll be grand final week. That'll happen, and then right after that, trades are going to go nuts. Draft is going to kick off, and all that stuff's going to happen. So I can see they're kind of buying their time, and probably looking at other teams and seeing what list changes they make, and if that affects us, and maybe there's some players that will be let go from other clubs that we might be looking at. Speaking of looking at players, I've heard a specific name. Blake Schlensog. Say that 5 times in a row. Schlensog. No, I can't even do it. He was at the Cats up until I think the end of 2020, and he was delisted at the conclusion of the 2020 season. He's supposedly the best key position player outside the AFL right now. He's got all the tools. I believe at the moment he's been playing in the Waffle. And he's been playing as a key position player. He's also played forward and he's looked very capable there. He's a fairly big lad. It was a bit of a shock at the time to some Cat supporters when he was let go. He didn't get much of a go there, but he's shown a lot of signs since then. And they're thinking that there's going to be a lot of clubs in for him. But I've heard that St Kilda potentially leading that race and looking into him fairly strongly. And I like that. He's 199 centimetres and 99 kilos. He is big. You know, Dougal Howard's 202 and I think about 95. So this guy's a couple centimetres shorter, but he's bigger. It'd be great. He's got similar capabilities to Dougal Howard, though he does play generally higher up the ground. And that maximises his intercepting capabilities. But I think that would be a player that we could look at and potentially redraft and get him basically ready to go for round one, because he's big enough. He doesn't need time at Sandy. I feel like he could just come in and do a job. And if you know, losing Cleverino and these sort of guys means gaining someone like Schlenschog, can't even say his bloody name, and that's going to be hard if we do draft him and have to come up with a chant for him. But if that means letting go of those guys and picking up someone like him that's fully capable, that just couldn't break into a very good Geelong team and a very good Geelong backline, then I'm all for it. Hopefully we get it done. Now, speaking on current players that are still yet to sign, that's being Seb Ross, Paddy Ryder and Jack Billings. Their current situation is, I've heard that Seb Ross is set to stay. Now, he was offered 2 years with a trigger for 3. He wasn't happy with that, but there's been very limited interest across the competition for his services. So I think that's kind of forcing him into a corner and potentially just forcing him to stay. I've heard that maybe Essendon could be interested, but when you look at their progress and their demographic and the fact that they're playing more young kids through the middle and the emergence of Parrish and Merritt going through there and doing a job, I don't think that Seb Ross would even get a look into that midfield in round 1 2022. But yeah, I think that the likely scenario is he's going to accept that 2 years for a trigger for 3 and probably on less money than what he's on now. The other one, Paddy Ryder, offered a obviously 1 year contract with his age. He's going to sign that. That's happened. Brett Ratton's very confident that's happened, but it hasn't been announced. So I think Paddy Ryder, 1 year, end of 2022, he'll stick around. And hopefully tutor whoever we get in to support Rowan Marshall in the ruck, whether that's Max Heath, Hayden McLean from Sydney, which is still a player that we're looking at, or someone else that we don't know of yet. And now the old Jack Billings predicament. 4 year contract. This would be on less money. Likely to stay is the latest word that I've received. So the scenario I'm tipping in the next couple of weeks is we'll see it trickle across is, you know, the delistings followed by Seb Ross set to stay and sign on for a couple of years, Paddy Ryder to sign on for a year, and Jack Billings to sign on for 4 years on reduced money, but 4 years nonetheless. So that's fairly stable if you're a 26-year-old like Jack Billings. And now for some, you know, there's always trade news and trade rumors, and most of it's legitimate. You can talk about it. You can see why a club would be going for that player. It may not actually eventuate, but you can see where the rumors come from. There's one last week that I got a lot of messages on, and I just want to tell Sainers, it's bullshit. It's not happening. Just forget about it. And that's the news that was released, I think, in an article last week. I can't remember the journo, but it was through the Herald Sun, and that already tells you not to believe it. But they just suggested that maybe Mason Cox from Collingwood could be a player that we'd be looking at. Maybe that's an opportunity there. He can play forward, he can play ruck, although he's not a good ruckman, and he hardly gets his hands on the footy when he plays forward. But that was enough to set a domino effect of messages, one after the other, to the Saints TV account saying, Jake, I'm going to burn my membership if we get Mason Cox. Jake, like, what are the recruiters doing? Why are we getting Mason Cox? And I'm thinking, why are we getting him? Nothing's broken. We're not even going for him. It's merely an opinion of a journo. So Sainers, please, when you read these things, just read them carefully, because this was basically just an opinion piece. There was no fact. There was nothing's been circulated since then. When this is breaking through the mainstream media and all the in the know say, that's a crock of shit, you already know. Like, just think about it. We're not getting Mason Cox. Where is he playing? There's no room in the forward line. He's not good enough to support Rowan Marshall in the ruck. He can't play 50% in the ruck. He doesn't have the capacity to do it. He could pinch hit. But we already have players that can do that. So why would you get Mason Cox? And he's not going to kick you more than 20 to 25 goals a year. So you're better off playing Cooper Sharman there. So it doesn't make sense. I think Mason Cox was on fairly big money at Collingwood, so I don't think we'd even be willing to offer him anywhere near that. So he'd have to come on very reduced money, but I'm not even going to get into that sort of detail because he's not coming to the Saints. So let's just nip it in the bud there and not talk about it ever again. And now the last piece of news after that rant is just a quick reminder that this Friday, 17th of September, commencing at 7 p.m, the Trevor Barker Medal for 2021, all members will receive an exclusive link to a live stream to the special event via email. So make sure that you keep an eye on your emails, all the members out there. And for people that aren't members of St Kilda, shame on you. But if you do want the link, just flick a message to any other member that you know, and I'm sure they'll be able to share the link with you. I don't think the links are limited to just one person. I remember last year, a couple of Sainers weren't members or they just couldn't get the link for one reason or another, and they messaged Saints TV. I gave them the same link I was using, and they were able to watch the stream as well. So if you have a link and you know people that aren't members, even before they ask, just send them the link and they'll have full access. We might even just post it on our Insta stories if we're allowed to, and get everyone to watch via that link. So that's all the news this week, Sainers. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I just wanted to clear out the Mason Cox stuff because a lot of people are just blaming the club, and the club haven't even announced they're going for him. It's just a rumour. So let's not start attacking the club over something we don't know is true. And apart from that, fairly standard news, nothing breaking at the moment. If there's anything that I hear during the week, obviously I will let you know first thing on the Saints TV channels, and it'll also be included in next week's Saints TV Weekly. So that's it, guys. That's Saints TV Weekly for September 13th. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next week on another Saints TV Weekly. Until then, guys, go you mighty Sainers.